can attraction grow? The short answer is no, we cannot force sexual attraction. Many of us have tried to fall in love with a man who is sweet and kind, and he looks amazing on paper, but we don't fall in love based on what's on paper, right? It is much more complex than that. And even though it can't be forced, it can be educated. And that's what my friend and colleague, therapist Ken Page, says. He's the author of Deeper Dating, and he's somebody I really respect. And he talks about how sexual attraction can grow. It can be educated. So let's talk about what that means. There are many ways that we can grow sexual attraction, but it has to be with the right men. Men who are kind, men who are respectful, and men who are available. And that's a key word, available. So you want to stay away from the ones who are not kind, the ones who are disrespectful, the ones who are unavailable. And those, unfortunately, are the ones that many of us are naturally super attracted to. I want to start with a story about someone I know who was divorced and was attracted to a guy immediately. Very good looking, very successful man. And she started dating him, but he was not available. He was very effusive with his language, super kind in many ways, but he was really not consistent and he wasn't available. And so she eventually left him. She broke up with him, and she started dating another guy who was not attractive to her. He was shorter than she was used to. He wasn't that attractive. And she started to date him because he was a great guy. And she started to like him more and more. And she still wasn't 100% sure if she could really be attracted to him until one day he turned and he hugged her. And she said she felt electricity going through her body, and she knew in that moment that this was a man she could build attraction with. And over time, they got engaged, and they've been married for several years. So this was a great story about someone who was super attracted to someone who was wrong for her, and not so attracted to a man who was right for her. And the right man became more right for her. So why do we get attracted to the same man over and over with a different face, right? We seem to have the same type, the same man, and we don't know why. Like, we don't think he's the same. He seems so different at the outset, but then, bam, we're back to unavailable or controlling or whatever is the pattern that we're used to. So when we first meet someone, we consciously and unconsciously pick up on a lot of cues that tell us that we're attracted. We have their physical cues, their emotional body language cues, the sound of someone's voice, his smell. All of these things are attraction cues. We either feel pulled in or we don't, desire or no desire. We have an ideal physical, emotional, and personality type. And we assess people quickly on a scale of 1 to 10 on the attraction scale. Most of us are looking for one of those really high numbers, right? We want to feel super attracted to somebody, and we don't know if it's going to grow. We are attracted to people because they embody the worst emotional characteristics of our parents or caretakers. I'm going to repeat that. They embody the worst emotional characteristics of our parents or caretakers. All of us have unresolved childhood wounds because we had feelings growing up of anger or abandonment, manipulation or abuse. And then we unconsciously seek to heal those wounds through the people we date. We bond with men in similar ways to how we were wounded as children. For example, if we were ignored, if our needs were ignored as a child, we would probably choose men who are aloof. And we go try to win their love and have them accept us for who we are now. And that usually does not work, and it leads to heartache. We can intellectually know, oh, we're looking for these wonderful traits in a man, but the unconscious self is drawn to that man who embodies the wounded part of us. And that's why we feel those butterflies, that awkwardness, that anxiety around men that we're so attracted to. And that's why we should look at those intense butterflies at a first meeting of a guy as a sign to walk away before our hearts get broken. That intense attraction can blind us to red flags because we can't see straight. You know, we've got those butterflies are making us feel so that we can't really use our conscious brain. So it is much, much safer to be educated, to date men with whom we don't feel that kind of number 10, 12, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, that kind of attraction. But it doesn't grow if it starts out below like a 5, below the mid-range. So what do we do? You know, can't start from nothing. Usually it doesn't go from nothing to a higher number, but we want to date in the middle of the spectrum. Men who are about a 5 and up on the attraction scale. And those are the men who we can become more attracted to as we get to know them. So there are 3 things that you want to look for as you're getting to know men. These men who are in the mid-scale. And you want to look for mutual trust, mutual inspiration, and mutual teaching and learning. I had a life coach when I first started coaching who taught me this. This was her theory on what makes a healthy relationship. Her name was Michelle, and I thought it was brilliant. Mutual trust. Why mutual trust? Well, we have to build trust to be able to be in a healthy relationship. Mutual inspiration. How many times have you been in a relationship with somebody who doesn't inspire you at all? So that's why you can have somebody who's kind and sweet and then kind of flat. There's nothing inspiring. We're not really inspired by what they're doing with their life and, you know, what they can add to ours and what we can add to theirs. So it's mutual. It's not just one-sided. And the last component is mutual teaching and learning. And the reason for that is because we want to continue to grow with our partner. When you have mutual trust, mutual inspiration, and mutual teaching and learning, and you feel a spark of attraction in that midline, that you can imagine kissing that guy one day, that kind of attraction can really grow. It gets stronger and stronger, and it usually becomes a longer lasting relationship and a deeper relationship than you probably have ever experienced before. Because with the old kind of attraction, that crash and burn happens all the time. That's not to say that when you feel intense attraction at the beginning, you won't have something that grows. It can happen, but it's much more likely with people in the mid-range who have mutual trust, mutual inspiration, and mutual teaching and learning. But when you're used to those intense butterflies, relationships with these mid-range men can feel really boring. And it might have you wanting to just like get out, run away. I encourage you not to run away, but to create some space for yourself. You don't have to feel like you have to rush into anything. You want to see, is this person continuing to show up as somebody you can trust, someone who's inspirational, someone from whom you can learn and grow? And just be present with this person. Notice what you appreciate about him. Notice what you're attracted to him in real time, rather than focusing on what's not working and why isn't attraction growing. And what you focus on grows. So one of the best ways to have attraction grow is to delay sex. You want to really continue to get to know him and let attraction build through the other forms of physical touch and emotional connection. And this is how attraction grows.